Wacheni Mungu aitwe Mungu. Na niliwaambia because now we have 2 weeks to brag. For those of you who maybe you woke up this morning na unasema Mungu hayuko, Mungu amenisahau. Mungu yuko, manake Manu ilishinda, Arsenal ikashindwa. Habari ya Jamila Mohamed, Rashid Abdalla, Vincent Atea, Lulu Squared, wote wawili.
So
good morning to you. Good morning to you. Tuko tu sawa tena sana. Maniwe. All right, now today is a very special day. We have, of course, Pulisic, ako hapa hivi, Steven Shitera, Tijan Swila, and we also have the unique and honorable pleasure of having the FKF President himself, Nick Mwendwa. Asante sana kwa kukuja.
Asante.
Yes.
Na wanaona raha leo.
Leo niko na raha sana. Wacha nikwambie.
Zamani nilikuwa na support Red Devils. Sasa leo na raha sana.
Sasa tuko sawa, manake huyu ndo mwenye alishindwa sasa hii weekend, manake Chelsea ilishinda, alafu pia locally Gor Maya pia ikashinda. Wacha nikwambie, hii international break itakuwa sawa.
Need to take us for lunch.
No, speaking of lunch, last week there was a bet that was placed here between Steven Shitera and Japicha, who is not with us, on the Liverpool game. Na Japicha has texted me akasema ni 10k, lakini hapa Steven Shitera amenipatia pesa taslim 5,000 pesa taslim. 1 for the money, 2 for the cause, 3 for Manu, 4 for Chelsea, and 5 for Japicha. Arsenal ndio number 5. Anyway, so ni hivi nimepewa, unaona evidence Mkenya
so yeye anafaa atoe yake.
Yeye anasema 10.
Ndio bet ilikuwa ekelea 5 ye 5 hiyo ni
10.
So yeye ndiye hajakupa yake.
Ni Kiswahili ya bedroom hii. Haya, let's get right into it. We've had for a very long time we've been talking about the state of Kenyan football, and we are glad that Nick Mwendwa is here today. Also, just for right of reply,
huyu jamaa unachapa sana.
Huyu Shitera.
Jamaa unachapa sana huyu. Kwanza saa nyingine Harambee Stars wakicheza kuona hicho jamaa uniinua sana. Leo nimejileta mwenyewe.
Asante President.
Leo nimejileta mwenyewe. Sasa unilete hiyo maneno hapa.
Ndio ni kitu muhimu sana. Na wakati President anafanya kazi mzuri si umwambia. Na saa zingine pia you see pia tunasaidia mpira ya Kenya. President akiwa pale, unajua saa zingine anaweza kuwa anaona gari linaenda vizuri, lakini kumbe kuna pothole, na mwambia pale mbele kuna pothole. So kabla apige ni lazima pia tuna raise flag.
Lakini pia saa zingine unajua unaweza kuwa una pothole na wewe uko chini, uko mimi naweza nikuwa niko juu. Na una pothole lingine kubwa kuliko hiyo, lazima nigonge hiyo ndo ndio uko mbele.
Let's begin with the latest. I want to just pull up the latest tweets in umeweka hapa so you can explain to us what exactly it meant. You said no amount of lies sponsored by anyone who cannot do their job before being called out will help. Our sportsmen and women will be respected and treated correctly. Our requests will be responded to. Sponsoring malicious articles 4 months later will not rescue everyone. You also said that you have submitted our bank accounts for all players, and I'm informed that they will get paid directly tomorrow. That was 3 days ago. But and so maybe let's start there. Have they been?
Maybe I just give you a background.
Yes, what's the background?
In the last 2 weeks, it's been an eventful place being in football.
Yes.
Why? Because for 1 year, we requested for the girls, our Harambee Starlets, to be supported by the ministry. For 1 year, keeping quiet, trying to wait for that to happen. It never happened. So 2 weeks ago, as you know, I went out, I think Citizen was live, and I said, we cannot take this anymore, because I was faced with a situation where they were not going to play. And being seated where I sit, I had no choice but to go out and call out those that were making this happen. And it has been so eventful since then, because we ended up in Parliament to present our issues with other federations. KRU were in the process auctioned because of 10 million shillings. They had already applied to be supported, and many other events happened. And that culminated to threats to ourselves as football that we have not accounted for money. And so what I've been trying to say is that we accounted for 244 million shillings for Cup of Nations back in August. The people who were supposed to do this in the PS office, they went quiet on us. They never said there's anything wrong with it until when we called them out to support the girls. 4 months later. And I was saying, I will not take it lying down. I will ask that our girls are treated with respect, because we have suffered, and I have personally suffered a lot trying to get them on the road to play. And this issue of begging for the girl to be supported all the time and them not getting support was not acceptable. In the same way, then this week, the ministry went hurriedly to try and approve some stuff and decided that we were not supposed to receive the money, and we were happy with it so long as they pay, make the payments Shitera that they wanted to make. Sisi tunataka walipe pesa, wakilipa vijana na walipe hoteli, sisi hatutaki chochote. So what happens that Harambee Stars was supposed to leave, they left last night.
Yes.
So as late on Thursday and Friday is when the ministry was going through the paces to do this, a job that we were supposed to have done 14 days before. And if you look at my regime, in the 4 years, we've never been late for any assignment. We've never paid players late. We've always been there, especially on time. In time, because we do not want to have the situation that we had before. So what happened is that Starlets finally left on Saturday for Lusaka after our 2-2 draw on Friday. They play today in the evening. So they're out there in Lusaka already, and you would have seen some of their photos out there. The Harambee Stars, however, were supposed to leave last night. They were given tickets on a round trip of 26 hours, and we are playing on Thursday. Something that would never have happened if we did this in time. We're just saying, fine, it has been done, but football is a game where you need results by having certain things being done right.
Even for the mental space of the player.
Because Michael Olunga, and this is the, flies 20 hours from Kashiwa to Cairo. And we have been paying, these are things that people don't know, more than 800,000 shillings for Michael Olunga every time he flies to Kenya on business. Because we cannot fly him for more than 18 hours in economy to come and score goals. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. We've been paying for it. We asked for the money. The ministry gave him an economy ticket. All right? And he told me, I'm sorry, President, I can't come. I could not imagine us playing against the Pharaohs without him. So yesterday I went out and asked for debt, acquired debt, and paid for his ticket 1.25 million shillings. And I am saying these things to you, Willis, so that this idea that we are not accountable, so I can come here and face Shitera and Tijan and say, that ticket has cost me 1.25. So there's nothing hidden anymore about money. This way then we show that we are forthcoming. We're talking about money. And when somebody goes and sponsors some funny articles about how we spend our money, and even though we have sat with them 5, 6, 7 times, they still write lies that we sponsored people that were not supposed to go Cup of Nations, and such kind of lies when it never happened. It is wrong. For example, in the Cup of Nations, Citizen TV was showing our content. We had 4 people dedicated to make you content. The content you were asking for. Those people are not joyriders. Those people who are working. They were away from their families for 2 months. It is wrong for you to get an impression that we took more people when we actually did not do that. And I can tell you this. In the final stages of AFCON, I had to pay for certain people to be there. Not from the government money, but from my own money. And I can prove it. I can show you in my credit card today. And so to create an impression that we took government money to use it on people when we know about Rio 2014 and what happened, it is wrong to create that impression. And why are they doing this? My response is this. Because I've gone out for the first time and called them out and call out the PS for not doing his job and directly.
So from where you sit before Tijan comes in, from where you sit, where is the problem? Is the problem the PS? Is the problem? And these forces, what is the actual problem?
Me, let me tell you, when I complained, within a week, the Starlets and the Stars are on their way playing.
Which means the money was there.
The money was there, 8.1 billion, we are told, in the fund. So why are stadium not finished? Why are they not finished? We wake up to stories about Ruringu Stadium, about Mastabe Stadium. You know the story about Nyayo. I have been on the line myself about Nyayo. It almost cost me my career with Chan. To date, 3 years later, it's not done. The money is there. My perception of the PS is the problem. And look, when he has decided to do the job, things have happened. And I'm just saying, if he does his job, and I am, the way I'm questioned every day, when I come to your show, I get questioned. I'm just from your radio now, I get questioned. And I respond. We're just saying that, let's question it, all right? If he does his job, we are happy. Everybody goes home happy. Olunga will play. We'll not fly for 20 hours of business. We'll come here until right now. Let me tell you something before Tijan can say what he wants to say. We have not received money for accommodation for that Harambee Stars, which is landing 2 p.m. Cairo time today. So when they land in Cairo, we have not paid for their accommodation because they have not given us the money. We could have done this 14 days ago. When I call it, somebody goes and sponsors funny articles about accountability. They could have done 3 months back. We wouldn't be saying this when the teams are traveling. Golf has not accounted for money that were given 200 million. Rally was given 448 million. A game that no youth in this country gets employed by, plays by, was given 448 million. They have also not been asked to account for. I have been asked, Willis, because I have stood up and said no, and I will not accept it.
Teacher.
Maybe before I make my remarks, what the president probably needs to tell us, because yes, the government pumped in around 240 million for AFCON duty. The team was in France and later Cairo, and I was there with them. Maybe, President, where do you think the rain started beating you? Because this is the same government that gave you 200 million for AFCON. All of a sudden, it becomes push and shove before Starlets can get some little cash.
Money, yes.
And again, as we speak right now, President, have the girls gotten their allowances dating back to last year? But where do you think the rain started beating you?
And there's the girls, there's the referees.
Yes,
for me, this is where we have gone wrong. We requested for funds for going to Cup of Nations immediately after beating Ghana 1-0 at home. When we beat Ghana here, no, when we beat Ethiopia 3-0 is when we knew tunaenda AFCON. Na tuli apply hiyo time. In fact, hiyo time Willis, AFCON ilikuwa Cameroon bado. Na documentation hizo zinaonyesha tulikuwa tuna apply pesa kwenda wapi? Cameroon. Tuka apply hiyo chapa. Kama unakumbuka vizuri, Swila, tulipigania hiyo pesa 6 months, ilitoka April. So it was not easy. Tulipigania hiyo do 6 months. Na juni AFCON na ni Harambee Stars, my friend, utatoa. Sio mchezo. Sasa tukuja hapa kwa Starlets. Starlets tuli apply pesa last year wakienda Cup of Nations. Willis, hatukuambiwa anything. 43 million to go to Cup of Nations. Tuka apply pesa Malawi, home and away. Quiet. Ghana, quiet. Wasichana tuko tunaona, Ghana ni noma. Wakachapa Ghana. Tukasema, wameamua wanaenda na sisi tuko hapa tutafanya wasiende. Tukaanza kuuliza kuniendaje? Quietness. And the worst part of it is no one ever writes back to you. No one called you, no one writes back. When you call, they don't pick up. That's what the PS does. So, tukasemaje, shida ni nini? Tukaona sasa the only kitu tunabakisha ni kuenda kwa mwananchi tumwambie hii timu itacheza. And sure enough, tukapewa Kasarani Stadium, hotel ile imetengezwa hapo mpya, wasichana wakaa hapo. It is not in the top best shape, but wamekaa na tukapewa kiwanja. Wasichana wamekuwa kitraining nyingi toyoyo. We couldn't be given those pitches. Saa hizi wanatrainia Nyayo ama Kasarani because of why we came out. Mambo ya kuuliza allowances. We were given some 3.8 million shillings that was due to us siku za CHAN. Tukachukua some 1 million kwanza, tukawalipa. Lakini pesa yao ya Malawi, pesa yao ya Cup of Nations last year, pesa yao ya Ghana, apart from the little shillings we have given them 20,000, 30,000, hatujawalipa. Saa hizi tulipeleka details kwa ministry, wameitisha details za kila player walipe. Walipewa Thursday, tuko happy wawalipe. Wamesema watawatumia na wamewatumia, tunangoja leo ndio tuweze kuprove. But watakuwa tu wamelipwa hii assignment, hawatakuwa wamelipwa
backdate
pesa za back.
Yeah.
While on the same, President, football stakeholders out there asking, Stars were in AFCON, we were knocked out at the group stages, but by virtue of qualifying for that showpiece, we were entitled, definitely,
250,000.
250,000. Have you received it?
We got that. We got that.
What was the breakdown? How was it used?
Yes,
Has that been shared with the government?
Yes.
And again, you've talked of Starlets. Now that we are going to play the qualifier, chances are 50-50, probably. They could make it to the Olympics.
Yes.
Have you by now shared that plan? But now, coming to CAF, how much was given? Have you given the breakdown of how much was used?
So let me come to CAF. Na nataka kuwa clear. FIFA na CAF hawapeani pesa ya national teams. Hii pesa huwa ni pesa ya solidarity na federation kufikisha hiyo team hapo. hii pesa haiwagi ya kuprepare team kwenda Cup of Nations, inakuwaga pesa ya development, which I have spoken about on your shows extensively. Hii ni pesa ya macoach, hii ni pesa ya maref, hii ni pesa ya kusaidia federation kulipa hizo debts zimefanya tukafika hapa. Hiyo pesa haiwagi ya kufanya. And indeed, wakati tulikuwa number 2, in fact tukienda Ghana, we were very unhappy with the goal we conceded, because had we not conceded, tungepata $40,000 more by being higher than Ghana. Tungepata $90,000, lakini tukafungwa, tukakuwa number 2. Hiyo chapa inakuaga hizo job, because federation, as you know, sponsors imekuwa problem. Chapa ni ya FIFA peke yake, budget ni nono, madeni ni mob. Hiyo chapa tuliweka kwa hizo madeni, ndio maana Sports View, utalii, Safari Park na travel agencies zimeendelea kutusupport. Tukikuja tukiwa na deni ya 6 million, Willis, tunakupatia 2 million. Kwa sababu wanaona kuna kitu inakuja, wanatupatia tickets. That's why yesterday niliitisha
1 point.
Niliitisha ticket ya Olunga na within minutes nikapewa. Otherwise, kama si hiyo kufanya hivyo na hizo madeni singepata. So that's the question on CAF. So let me come to Starlets today. Starlets, hatuwezi apply pesa ya kucheza against Cameroon ama Ivory Coast before today ends. Lazima tucheze hii game iishe, ndio tujue kama tutacheza nao, ndio tu apply. For example, when we played against Ghana, always tukicheza na Malawi, after the game is when we apply Shitera, because otherwise we could be knocked out. You don't need the money. So after today, I can tell you, if we beat Zambia today, which I am feeling maybe we have a capacity to do, tomorrow we will apply for the money. But our proposal has been this, Swila. It's good to know the proposals. The proposal has been this. Bala kutupatianga pesa, kila event tuna apply, tunasumbuana. Wamesema leta budget ya mwaka mzima. Our budget for national teams ni 500 million, for example. Tukileta watuite, watuambiaje, we don't have 500 million. But in the year 2020, we will give you 250. Na tukubaliana? Na tukubaliana 250 itakuja in this way. Tutajipanga. Hii maneno ya kila event ndogo, 10 million, 12 million Willis, hiyo maneno ya kopela, ndio tunakosania. Because hawako efficient. And then ina affect mchezaji kama Victor, kutoka London kuenda on the final time, because the ministry always wanakupa Gor Mahia upewa tickets Thursday ama Friday wakienda game. It's on record. Kwa nini hawana hiyo efficiency? Sisi tuko nayo, tunasemaje, tupatie pesa yetu kila quarter, 50 million, 20 million, 10 million. Sisi we will account for it. That's all we are saying. That way then I don't have to come here and gross over these issues. Yes.
All right, Shitera, maybe even as you asked your question, we've normally also talked about, and he's alluded to it, as well as the measures that have been put in place, because we are indeed talking about the state of Kenyan football. So maybe as you ask your question, Pierre.
The state of Kenyan football, I cannot celebrate it at this point in time. One, there is one thing that I will always agree with the president.
Agree?
Yes.
Okay.
He has been very consistent on the friendlies that he has always organized. Harambee Stars has never failed to honor any friendly match. Something that in the past was a dream. Number two, I'll agree with him that the government has failed us in as far as infrastructure is concerned. We were promised 5 stadia, and you know what a stadia means to any footballer, any athlete, any sports lover. They promised us 5 stadia.
5 world class.
Yeah, state of the art. At the moment, we are still struggling to renovate Nyayo Stadium. A stadium that some sponsors some years back volunteered to upgrade it to a world-class stadium. And the government itself quashed that proposal. And at this point in time, we are looking at a Nyayo National Stadium that really does not have anything to help the players, because look at it this way. They have just improved the face of it. The stadium has no seats.
Yeah.
The stadium has not been renovated as far as I'm concerned as a sports lover. Look at Kasarani Stadium.
If it rains, there's a problem.
There's a problem.
It's an eyesore, it's an embarrassment,
to me it's an insult to Kenyan football by the government. But number two, in as far as I support the
Number
president.
three.
Number three. Yes. The president nimesema amefanya kazi nzuri in as far as prepare teams is concerned. Hatujaiona ati Harambee Stars imefeli kuona a friendly match. But again, we are in turmoil as far as football sponsorship is concerned. Maybe atupatie inaitwa plan ama not a rundown, a plan kwamba you are going for a second term of which chances are can give you 60%.
He has no competitor. That's the word. He has no competitor.
No, nitakupa 60%.
Plus 1.
60 plus 1. 60 plus 1 uko ndani. Uko na mpango gani in your second term to ensure that our Kenya Premier League hatuna hizi mashida tuko nazo za walkover?
Na hata kama let's say just so that tuone tuko balance.
Yes.
Tuseme hata asiposhinda kuna zile handover notes.
Yes.
Atasema nilikuwa na plan gani.
Yes. Hiyo ndio atupatie because
I hope he's making notes so that
in the first term nimekupatia pongezi kwa andaa timu. Friendly matches we are 100%.
Hata qualifiers.
Qualifiers tuko sawa, lakini pia turnover ya coaches president imekuwa shida.
Iko sawa.
Angalia tuko na deni ya Sebastian Minye, tuko na deni ya Bobby Williamson, tuko na deni ya Dela Mrush. Tuko na under your leadership tumekuwa na coaches kama 6. No. Why don't we have a coach that tutasema hata tukichapwa sisi kama fans. Angalia what is happening in Arsenal. Wanapigwa tu lakini we assume kwamba ana shida waongelelei. They're not talking about it. I've not heard that at board anataka kusack manager. Can't we take that route for consistency na prosperity?
So there are 2 questions there, the plan and then turnover.
Can you take the Matango? I want him to respond. Now,
okay.
Shitera has mentioned a very important point. And from where I sit, the reason as to why we don't have sponsorship, and I'm talking at club level. Today, Gor Mahia can't walk to me or as citizen and tell us, RMS, come and pump 100 million a year on our shirt. Maybe whether it's Hot 96 or View Sasa. But if I look at it, it's a shell. There are no structures, it's not streamlined, there's no accountability,
this
all
is
that.
The federation or the teams?
And I'm talking of the teams. I'm coming to the federation.
The teams
so you have to be organized first of all before you attract any serious partnership with any corporate. Look at the pictures we saw yesterday in Tanzania, Simba. Right now they're talking of building apartments, complex, where their playing unit and the technical bench can reside. And they're not haphazard structures. They are proper world-class
structures.
Yes. And these are teams just across the neighbor here who've been beating Simba. Now, if I come to the Kenyan football and I want to ask him one thing, and Shitera has talked about the debts, I don't want to go into that. What I want to ask President is that right now we have hue and cry regarding the Kenyan Premier League.
Yeah.
We saw Chemelil also give some 2 walkovers, and before they went down, they decided to honor other fixtures. The CAF club licensing that I've been talking about here are clear. In fact, they were introduced under his regime. Yeah. Maybe, Nick, what you need to tell us, I know the gaming firms pulled out, but that's not an excuse because the rules have to be followed. Before the KPL began, we needed to audit all these clubs and to see if they have the financial safeguards to take them through the season. What you need to tell us probably, was this done? If it wasn't done, why was the case? Then thirdly,
so those are now going to be... I guess let him respond to those ones first. So we have the...
So Shitera has spoken about the issue about sponsorship.
Right.
So I want to pick that up first.
Right. So that's actually both of them. You can tell the answer.
Sponsorship. So first, I want to be clear with you. That team you support called Manchester.
Yes.
When it
Painfully
When it came to the league, there was no money. When Sky took up that challenge, there was no money. But the club was there, sound and running. It is your responsibility, Raburu, that when you form a club, you must find ways commercially to sustain it. It starts there. So first of all, let's agree, in football, these are football people. You know that when you start a club, ni kazi yako kuensure iko healthy. So hakuna excuse. Kama mimi nikishindwa na club, niuzie Swila, aiendeleze. So vitu ni mbili. Ikikulemea, uza. Mtu mwingine ule anaweza, aiendeleze. Ama ukisupport, ama utafute members, uko innovative.
So by the time unaanza sponsor or not, you should be sound.
Ufai kuja kama hauna sponsor. Hiyo ni ya kwanza. Ya pili, Sugar Belt, Chemelil, Sony, Nzoia, Mumias. 4 clubs in the Sugar Belt. All companies were in the doldrums. That cannot be a KPL problem or an FKF problem. That industry has gone bust. So we cannot point fingers to KPL, we cannot point fingers even to the guys who run the club. Secondly, gaming industry, we all know what has happened to it. All this has happened in a space of 2 years. Surely it's going to have an impact on the league. But the question is, how do we go forward? But I want to answer his question first about club licensing before I can talk about how we go first. Club licensing ni njia ya kuangalia kama club iko tayari kucheza hiyo season. In Kenya, what do we do? We cannot tell you tuonyeshe a club in Kenya runs between 30 million to 100 million. Gor Mahia 100 million, Chemili 30 million. That is the range how we run our clubs. That's the money required. We cannot ask you to show us that money in the bank in Kenya. We can only ask you to onyeshe guarantee ya sponsor wako that he is ready to sponsor you to the end of the season and how much it is. And he is showing that he has done it before. All these clubs have shown that. So we couldn't argue with it. They passed club licensing, tukawapatia license. But we didn't know that Sony is going to go bust. We didn't know that Sony will say that they will not do this. So how to move forward is this. That this issue of stadium that he has spoken about is a core issue. I'm from another show here on Citizen, where they have told me that Shabana used to play in Kisii and Gusii Stadium, where they've told me Eldoret, KCC used to play in Eldoret. Because at that time, Iso Stadium, at that time, kwa standard ya hiyo time, zilikuwa ziko poa. Sisi tumefika time, kiwanja zetu zote sasa ni mbovu. Tumetumia Machakos, mpaka sasa inaenda imesha kuwa shamba. Unaona? Nyayo, we know the story. Meru, we know the story. Hizi stadium zingine, Marsabit, umesikia kiongelelewa, ililipiwa, imekuwa cleared, nothing has been done. Ruringo muona mambo Gujiri wa Mbugu amesema jana. Tuko na shida ya stadium. Hizo stadium zingekuwa sawa, hizi clubs zingeenda wapi? Na zingekuwa na support base. But we are saying, how is the future? End of next year, tunachukua KPL. But tunataka kuchukua KPL to maintain its independence, waendelee kujimanage pesa zao Shitera. Hatuna interest ya kuingilia mambo ya pesa, but tusha saizi contract mtu anaangalia mambo ya sponsorship. And I can tell you, kuna watu familia unajua wako interested na rights za nini? Za hiyo Premier League. As we are speaking right now. Na si tu kuhusu rights fulani peke yake, digital rights, una login kwa app, unalipa, lazima tuko innovative. Nufanya, but it take time. But important pia ni kusema, hiyo KPL ameongea kuhusu structure. Taka iwe na chairman neutral. Chairman si wa Gor Mahia ama wa FC. Mtu neutral. Ndio akimake decision, anafanya decision ya football. Hizo changes tunataka na apigiwe kura miaka ngapi? Miaka 4. Pale Goal Project pia tutawapatia ofisi. Mahali electoral board inakaa saa hizi, tutawapatia hapo so they don't have to pay any rent because it's free. That way to save pesa, ndio tuweze kuleta hizo pesa kwa club zetu. I want to tell you this as a finish, Raburu. I am one of those people who has put my life on the line because of football. I have spent my life fortune on supporting a club. 40-50 million every year that I would have put in something else, but because of the people who play football and because of the passion I have for it, I have done it. And so I'm saying that it is possible to get out of where we are. We will get out of where we are at any time in any industry. Hata hii yenyu inakuwa na slump. Sasa ni wakati wa slump. Entrepreneurs like me lazima tuangalie silver lining iko wapi na tuanze kuitafuta mapema tukiendelea. And that is what we are doing at this point. So I think for the answers around KPL, that's what I would say around stadium and club licensing, around KPL, this is what my response would be.
Yeah. And also before, because I know Shitera lazima nasikia is very yeni mtu all rounder, so lazima kuna assignment pia naenda. So we'll allow you maybe to, first of all, were your questions answered?
My question have been answered because ameniambia they are taking over KPL. Kuna some issues
with a neutral chairman.
A neutral chairman is a very critical point ambayo ameileta, sababu unakuta a chairman speaking on behalf of KPL but ni chairman wa Gor Mahia. Unaona kutakuwa na hiyo biasness in as far as decisions are made at the leadership level. And I think Waswahili wanasema mgala muue lakini haki mpe. Kama ataingia no post
Si kama Shitera, mimi sikuwa na mpinzani. Wenzako kuna marafiki zako wanataka tukansolizo elections. Wameenda kotini, sasa tunaenda kotini tanda 19. Wameenda kotini Raburu sasa mara ya 4. Wanataka koti iwapigie kura. Na nataka kukuambia hivi Willis. Tuko unopposed position 12 national office. Mmoja ya women a new position ndio iko na opponents. Sisi wote hatuna opponents. At least wangekuja Shitera wakuja waseme hata kama tunaonewa hii ndio tusimame tuonyeshe Wakenya tunaweza kupigana na tutashinda hii kura. We will win unless hata tukiambiwa turudie tutashinda tu. Haya, tutashinda kura. Si kama hakuna handover notes hapa Raburu.
Hakuna handover notes. So basi in that case
nikikanyaga frame wacha we wish the president all the best. Na at least sisi kama fans tunataka kuona that coming back because now tuko kwa mpango wa kuqualify for 2021 and I think that consistency yenye mimi niliongelelea, wacha tukue na coach ambaye hata tukipoteza
siwezi kuacha uende hivyo mambo ya actually
coach turnover.
Wewe ni mtu wa statistics na niko disappointed. Kwanza umesema football haiendelee vizuri. Football inaendelea vizuri more than any other time because I can see because
hatuwezi kuwa tunaendelea vizuri na tuko na walkovers kwa viwanja.
Nasema football inaendelea vizuri compared to any other time you lived before in this country. That is no. That is one. Two, mambo ya makoch.
Nilikuwa tukidraw na Nigeria hapa kina Mokachi na
ulikuwa kweli?
Kina Sunday Olise nilikuwa. Tukipiga draw na wao walifunga
Automax.
It was a late equalizer. Akina Automax.
Sisi tulifunga Ghana.
Swali yenye tulikuwa tunauliza.
Sisi tulifunga Ghana.
Swali yenye tulikuwa tunauliza, Automax alichapa Algeria. What happened to us? Tunaenda tunapigwa na Algeria ni kama
lakini sisi tulifunga Ghana.
Tunasema kuna mahali mvua ilianza kutuchapa tukastagnate.
Lakini sio wakati
Algeria tulikuwa tunachapa wakaproceed. Hizo ndio time nasema president we really need to bring
back them back. Yes. I agree with that. Mambo ya makoch
and the turnover.
Mambo ya makoch. I can tell you turnover ya makoch chini yangu si kubwa. Kwa nini? Okumbi alikuwa coach wa national team miaka ngapi? 2.5 years. People have forgotten ile base tumetengeza saa hizi. Okumbi was a national team coach for 2.5 years. Then tukapata Paul Put. Ule wako anataka kukaa hapa, akakaa 3 months. After which ni minye. Actually under me, amesema 6 coaches. Hapo ndo nimesema amekuwa kinichapanga bure saa ingine.
I have no issue with the turnover. My issue is Bobby Williamson, circumstances under which he left. I know if you pick me today as the president, I have the liberty to pick whoever I want as a coach. That's granted. 2, we didn't safeguard our legal loopholes. We are now paying him around 50 million. What's the other guy? Adel Ambrouche. Around over 100 million. Yes. The other day we gave the Frenchman, Sebastien Meunier, around also 50 million thereabouts. Or whatever it is, if it's 30, whatever. My point is, Nick, we are in a very tough financial times. The crunch is biting hard. But we're losing money, which we should have lost. Why couldn't we engage these coaches on short-term contracts, 1 month leave notice, or 2 months?
So let me respond quickly. She does Adele na Bobby. Tulizipata. But kuzipata pia ni zetu. I have been in court for 4 years. For 4 years, nimekuwa kotini Raburu. 4 years I've been in court fighting so that tusipewe punitive nini na mambo ya Adele. After Adele alitemea coach mate kule Comoros. Finally after 4 years, Willis, tukafanya nini? Tukachapwa na kasi 108 million. Haikuwa yetu, tumeuliza government walipe, otherwise we will be removed from 2022 qualification. Mambo ya Bobby the same.
But has it been paid?
It has not been paid. It has not been paid. We risk being removed. Mambo ya Bobby the same. Haikuwa under us. Tumenegotiate, tumepiga 4 years, tumeappeal tena. That decision, tumeappeal ya 50 million in the hope to make it less. But what have we done for the future? Sebastian Minye wakati anafaa kutoka, hatukumfukuza tu kwenda. No. Tulinegotiate na yeye. We agreed to pay him until March next year. But we also agreed, Willis, that if he finds a new job, we won't pay him. Guess what? This week,
he's gotten
amepata job. Ni kumaanisha we only need to pay him August, September and October.
Was it written? Was it binding?
Yes.
It
Is it
was written
binding?
and binding.
Yeah.
That is the mitigation we took. Now, in the current coach, we have decided hakuna coach atakuja kupewa more than 2 months notice ever again in Kenya. We will never have the so-called closed contracts for coaches anymore. That is how to mitigate history ya coaches.
Or coaches.
Turnover.
Yeah.
The lessons we learn also is how we come to turn them around and implement them. That's how we do.
Yes, I also have just a few. There's some comments here that are coming in from online. Abbas DJ says, kindly ask Nick, anasema huyu anasema wewe umemess up sana. Huyu ni yeye. Na amesema tulikuanga na sponsorship. Anasema I live in Nyeri. I was enjoying KPL from the comfort of my, on SuperSport from the comfort rather of my living room. But sasa nini imefanyika? How is that promoting the game? That's one. Last one also has the same comment. Last one 254.
Mambo ya SuperSport.
Mambo tu ya SuperSport bado. And then we have Ntomika says, good morning, Willis. Ask Nick Mwendwa if FKF is ready to manage PL, yet NSL and the Women's Premier League seems to be difficult for them. And then Atman Meli says, my advice to our football federation is to promote a team from every major town or county, and you will not have to jaza study itajijaza. We used to watch football because we had our hometown, kama amesema hapa, for example, Rivertex. So maybe you can respond to that, those ones.
So first and foremost, hiyo ya mwisho hatuwezi kufanya because we have a structure of football and football has to be played according to the structure that exists, so not a problem. Mambo ya SuperSport. One is that SuperSport live in Kenya, and I will say it for 10 years if required, had nothing to do with us. SuperSport as a business needed to raise money for the English Premier League. They had to walk away from several markets to save that money and pay for the English Premier League that doubled in price. All right? So it has nothing to do with us. But also to say this, maisha imechange. Sasa kuna view sasa.
Kabisa.
Kuna mambo ya view sasa. Mambo imemove kutoka kwa TV imeenda kwa simu. And you will see in the coming days, pia sisi kama football, tumeenda kwa simu. Mambo imebadilika kabisa, imeenda kwa mobile. Nowadays, nani amekaa mahali kuona football for 45 minutes? Hakuna. Mtu kwa simu yake, they want to watch it where they are. Watakuwa wanalipa 20 shillings, 200 shillings, wanaona game mali wako, and that day is coming in the next 1 year. That's what we're going to put in place. So I wouldn't say that let's not be stuck in the past. Kama haiku work, let's innovate new ways for the future, because the future has come. Facebook is now sponsoring football. And very soon, the Indian Premier League is on Facebook. Netflix has come, and they're taking over rights. You will see in the next couple of years changing. Kenya also is #1 in digital hapa Africa. Lazima tuendelee ku-revolve, kuendelea ku-evolve na hizo njia za.
Yes, but you also can't take away from the fact, and you've talked about it here as well, that ile support tulikuwa tunaona, maybe you can tell us what in your plan, because we always have this campaign Jaza Study, etc. And you have rightly said that the state of the stadium is wanting, yes. But how are we going to, because it will even help the teams, I believe, get some money even if stadiums zinajaa wakati kuna magames. Ulikuwa na Gor na FC yesterday. Brilliant game, 4-1 I think it ended.
Yes.
But haikuwa imejaa. So what
we can do?
What can we do?
One is, I think there is when we were going to the Cup of Nations, we proved that during the Ethiopia game tunaweza jaza hiyo kiwanja. During Everton Kariobangi Sharks, tunaweza jaza hiyo kiwanja. But it took a lot of marketing. The Ethiopia game took a stroke of free. So as a nation, na waliongelea kuhusu Simba, vile wanajaza kiwanja, our psyche and the psyche of Tanzania is different. There are two big teams have real solid support, not support of talking, but actually support of people going. I was informed last year, Kariobangi Sharks went to play against Yanga on Yanga Day. And I can tell you 85,000 fans. Kariobangi Sharks tell me they were paid almost 2 million shillings themselves to play that game. When Kariobangi Sharks cannot raise 2 million shillings here at home to play. So we have a distance to go in terms of people coming to stadium. We had a team going to the Cup of Nations. That team attracted only one sponsor in the Cup of Nations. What more could we do for Harambee Stars? Kama si qualify kwenda Cup of Nations, surely ndio to attract watu kuja kusupport your team. So as a nation kuna challenge, but each challenge how to do it ni step by step. Tuongeze kiwanja, then to come back ku market game yetu by having these things that I'm talking about, ma view sasa, ma mobile, so we can encourage people to come back to the stadium again. It will take time, but it can be done because you're watching the Premier League and supporting Manchester United, Raburu, here every day.
I want to put him to task on one thing. I'll give him credit.
Manchester and Gor Mahia.
I'll give him credit, Raburu, because since he took over, we are no longer hearing cases of Oliech, anataka ya ticket refund, hapandi ndege.
No.
That's out of the question. 2, we are now playing friendly matches during FIFA windows. That's we have to give it to him. But now, Nick, a disturbing development some 3 months ago. We've never heard your word officially on this. Philemon Otieno featured prominent for Harambee Stars at the AFCON in the CHAN, picked an injury out, in fact, we actually discussed the issue and we say, you are flying Philemon to France for operation, that's top class. That didn't happen. The player was left on devices. I don't think it's the best way maybe to go on. Could you tell us what
So let me explain. The rule of football is that when a player is injured, Raburu, that is why in club licensing, we ask the club to bring the medical cover of the player. So Gor Mahia must cover its players. It's an obligation. They must cover their players, and it must be in the contract. I know many other clubs that do it, no problem. Tusker is doing it, Ulinzi is doing it. I know other clubs, even Sofapaka has done it, all right? So Gor Mahia didn't cover the player. But at the same time, what do we do at the national team? When Jesse Were came to camp, when we were playing against Uganda, hakuwa akuja kucheza Swila. But we took care of him. And we have special equipment and special doctors. We took care of them. And when there is funds, as an extension of goodwill, kama Mandela, we treat him. Mandela got injured, alitoka kama ameumia kidogo South Africa, akakuja Marcos France, akaumia, tukampeleka akafanyiwa operation hapo France. And you saw that we did it. But see obligation, sasa ile pesa iko tunafanya. And for Philemon, we wanted to do it. We waited for funds. Ndio hizi funds nimekuja kuongelelea hapa zinaenda South. We told the club, guys, we don't have funds right now. It was going to cost to take him to France and back was a $6,000, $7,000 bill. We couldn't afford it at that time. We said, if he can wait, when the money comes, we'll do it. But the club said, we cannot wait. And we understand that you can't wait on an injury, you need it done. But Raburu, the club has to have medical cover for him. Huwezi sikia Manchester inaambia FA, mchezaji akiumia tupelekeni hospitali. Only FIFA, and for the World Cup, covers players for the period of the World Cup.
Yeah.
CAF does not. We don't have that kind of cover. But saida tuko na pesa, mmoja wetu akaumia Raburu, we did it.
That's granted, Nick, but now, from where you sit, being the federation chief, and this is why the CAF club licensing rules came into effect to clean all this mess. You hold the final button, because if you feel Gor Mahia, Leopards, or the top tier for that matter, because this is our top tier league, they are not pulling up their socks. They're not playing to the games. And medical cover, that's basic requirement in any sporting event. You can't go there on the pitch, risk your life. You have no medical cover. Gor is our top club, actually the top club in this part of the world. Up to now, if they have not covered their players, as a federation chief, what have you done about it?
So Raburu, hii swali ni swali poa sana, swali kubwa. Lakini kuna kitu moja swali anasahau. Wachezaji wajalipo mshahara, wacha medical cover. Sasa yeye ananiuliza kwamba tusolvaje upate mshahara walipe rent kabla medical. Not to diminish his point, is to say this. We have required these clubs to do so. But also the player has a responsibility. Anafaa kuwa na NHIF. NHIF squeeze inalipia watu surgery. I know players who have NHIF ya 1,200, 2,000 wamelipiwa pale Kikuyu, wakalipiwa cover. So you see, let them take away from the player, but they also have a responsibility because it's an injury on their career to go and be taken care of. But how do we enforce it? It's also player kujua right yake. Because sasa kuanza kuingilia mambo mchezaji kwenda kutritiwa na club kweli. Have you ever heard anywhere in the world that the FA gets involved between a club and its player going to treat them? Huyu mchezaji anafaa lete agent wake aongeleshe club imtreat.
That's right.
That is how it goes.
All right.
I think it's
unfortunately we are out of time. But so much more. What we'll say is this on that of course the state of Kenyan football, we do hope that in the league will improve. It can only improve, we hope. It can't get
worse.
It can only improve. I thank you also for answering about, you know, the article that was there, that was written by our dailies here about the money that you, you know, the alleged misappropriation, and the people ulipeleka pale. And I guess we also have to say thank you because swali zinakuwa ngumu, like the fact that you can come and sit here despite what and have your right to reply is good. We do hope that the PS can also do the same, because you've leveled some accusations against him. And yes.
Maybe before he winds up, probably you are running unopposed as at now.
Yes.
Tell us just in 30 seconds, if you get re-elected, what is it one thing that you're going to do that you haven't done in the last 4 years?
Expanding our base for youth players is the biggest thing we can do for this country. Extending the conveyor belt we have done so that our under 15 now has subsequent under 13s and under 15 is the biggest thing you can give this country, to have 5 million kids actually playing in a nation of 47 million people is an ambition I would have, and I would like to increase that number in this year that I'm coming.
All right. Well, tutakuwa hapa hivi tukikuangalia. Inaitwa wakerido. Tutakuwa tunakuangalia, but thank you so much for coming through. Well, let's leave you with the highlights of the games that happened over the weekend, and we'd like to say thank you so much for taking time and also for the comments. I know there are so many, you couldn't read all of them, but we do appreciate it.